What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another Ticker Fee video and welcome to the Ticker Fee family. As you can see, the ticker symbol we're going to be talking about today, or the name of the company, is Veru. So you got ticker symbol VERU. So why do I want to talk about this stock? What I want to talk about is why it's up 182%, why the stock is being marketed on a trend line and the support line and the resistance on a day-to-day standpoint. So I'll be talking about that. What are the effects? What's going on in the world that affects this stock? And so let's go ahead and get right into it. So the very first thing I pulled up was going to be Yahoo trending tickers. So if you actually scroll down just for a second, you can see you got ticker symbol VERU, Veru, right here. Last price at $12.28, and again 182.30%. So 182%, right? And I saw it at one point, it was over 190. Unbelievable. So if you don't know anything about this company, first of all, let's do a little bit of background history. So Veru is a Wisconsin corporation that is the successor of the Wisconsin pharmaceutical company, right? Now, it was manufactured and marketed for the specialty chemical and branded consumer products. Wisconsin Pharma was originally incorporated in 1971, then in 1966, so on and so forth. Now, let's fast forward. October 31st, 2016, they completed the acquisition of Aspen Park Pharmaceuticals, transitioned into selling all sorts of variations, but the main point of this company, what they do pharmaceutically, is going to be geared towards men and women and their health issues, okay? So that's going to be your mammary glands and then prostate. So keep that in mind. So it's an extremely important type of medication that many people use. It's a very big deal. And so you've got trials, you've got phases, and so on. And so let's continue. All right, so Veru, right? The drug maker's shares surged 24.8% in the pre-market after he reported overwhelming evidence of efficacy for its experimental drug for treating hospitalized COVID-19 patients. It will meet with the FDA to seek emergency use authorization for the treatment. Okay, so Veru's novel COVID-19 drug candidate reduces deaths by 55% in hospitalized patients in interim analysis of phase 3. So independent data monitoring the committee halts study early for overwhelming efficacy. Okay, so the study is a double-blind randomized placebo-controlled phase 3 clinical trials evaluating the oral once-a-day dosing of the 9 mg versus the placebo in approximately 210 hospitalized moderate to severe COVID-19, okay, who are at high risk for ARDS and death. Now, patients were randomized in a 2-to-1 ratio to this treatment versus the placebo. So this is what they're talking about. So let's fast forward. The trial was conducted in the U.S., Brazil, Colombia, Argentina, Mexico, and Bulgaria. Now, COVID-19 infections treated in the study included the Delta and the Omicron variants. A planned interim analysis was conducted in the first 150 patients randomized into the study. Now, the primary efficacy endpoint was the proportion of patients that died by day 60. So you have clinical efficacy and safety results. Not a fan of that word. Okay, and then you have regulatory discussions and planning. So let's continue. So the phase 3 COVID-19 trial design, which is just what we talked about, but I wanted to pull it up specifically with the company to make sure that it matches word for word, which it does. So the company plans to meet with the FDA to discuss next steps, including the submission of an emergency use authorization application. So as previously disclosed, the FDA granted fast track designation to the COVID-19 clinical program in January 2022, which the company hopes will help streamline the emergency use authorization process. So you can see it's a pretty major deal, and so I just wanted to show you that, because clearly that is going to be the major catalyst. And what's great about these pharmaceutical companies, just like what it mentioned at the top, right? Phase 3 clinical. So each time you have a different phase, a different trial, when you get positive results, it's going to increase in trend line, right? You're going to have more support. And the more support you get, the higher that base trend line is going to be, right? So great catalyst, and it continues to be ongoing. Okay, so what's been affecting the stock, guys? First thing I wanted to point out, guys, you're going to see this a lot. First is going to be the recession. So you can see a recession shock is coming. to the U.S. Bank of America, recession risk is rising, economics say. Will the U.S. economy enter a recession? It's a coin toss, says strategist. The Hill's morning report is the U.S. headed for a recession. So recession, 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 right? And if you go back and look over the years between in the 80s, the 90s, the early 2000s, you can see every 5 to 8 to 10 years, right? So you have that 10-year mark. That discussion does come up. Now, how much do we wield it ourselves just by communication, and how much does it actually happen? But we are in a different situation due to the 2020. So let's continue forward. Now, what is a recession? Now, keep in mind, a recession is a macroeconomic term that refers to a significant decline in general economic activity in a designated region. But here are the key takeaways about it. A recession is a period of decline, right? Business investors, government officials track various economic indicators, and a variety of economic theories have been developed to explain how and the recession occurs, right? So that's where you're going to get that communication from everybody. But with that recession, it's a significant decline in not only the activity spread across the economy, but lasting more than a few months, normally visible in real GDP, real income, employment, industrial production, and wholesale retail sales. So what is GDP, right? You hear it all the time from an analyst to a YouTuber, anybody, right? So what exactly is a GDP? So gross domestic product is the total monetary or market value of all the finished goods and services produced within a country's borders in a specific time period. A broad measure of overall domestic production, it functions as a comprehensive scorecard of a given country's economic wealth. Okay, so it has its limitations. GDP is a key tool to guide policymakers, investors, and business in strategic decision making. So hopefully that helps you out when it comes to the growth rate, the economy, what the recession is, and how those two tie together. Okay, so another thing, U.S. banned new American investments in Russia. Think about that. United States has banned new American investments in Russia. So any type of new entrepreneurs or investments will not be going to Russia in this time being. Okay, so that's going to deal with the sanctions. So let's fast forward a little bit. Major bank is first to forecast a recession. More could follow. So here are the key facts. The Deutsche Bank on Tuesday became the first major bank on Wall Street to forecast a recession next year, right? And a moderate one thanks to the combination of surging inflation and rising interest rates. Now, the firm's economists predict that the U.S. economy will take a major hit from the extra Federal Reserve tightening by late next year and early 2024, while also predicting 2 negative quarters of growth and a more than 1.5% rise in the U.S. unemployment rate. Okay, so you can see that that came from Forbes. So as long as Russia continues to pursue its invasion of Ukraine, which has caused severe market volatility since February, recession and stagflation will be a serious threat, says Moody Analytics Chief Economics Mark Zandi, who adds that risks are uncomfortably high. Okay, let's continue to fast forward. The next point is EU not expected to fully ban Russia coal imports until August. So again, keep that in mind. Key points. Germany is one of the most skeptical nations when it comes to blocking energy supplies from Russia, but it's not the only one. Austria and Hungary, for instance, are also opposed. Approving these sanctions has been a major challenge for the bloc given its high dependency on Russian energy. You have to think about these other economies. When you have, for example, the United States, when we have multiple energy services that are provided to us, we can, just like an asset allocation model, we can lower or increase some of those services, right? And so for us, it's not that big of a deal. But for other countries, if you're, a higher range of above 40% possibly, then it could affect you. Now, again, guys, I'm not a financial advisor. This whole point of this video is to give you the opportunity to be able to use this information in the way that you need to when it comes to options, common stocks, whatever the case is. Okay, let's keep moving. Now, you've got the other thing. Congress sends Biden a bill banning Russian oil imports. And this is what I wanted to show you. The 413-9 House vote followed 100-0 Senate approval early Thursday. once signed by Biden, it will put into law an order he issued last month. Congress also voted Thursday to approve legislation stripping Russia of its normal trade relations status, a move that allows the U.S. to impose large tariff increases on goods from Russia and Belarus in response to the invasion of Ukraine. Okay, the last point. Now, just like we talked about, Congress voted to revoke Russia's most favored nation trade status, an economic downgrade that allows the super tariffs. The bill is a formal step to severe normal economic ties with Russia, right? Separately, Congress voted a promise Biden made to ban the import of Russian oil and other petroleum products. And then the EU envoys are set to approve on Thursday, just like we talked about. So, guys, I hope this really was able to help you out. Hopefully, you'll be able to get this information and be able to apply it for what you need. Again, like I said, it was for options or long-term stock, short-term, whatever the case is. If you're trying to swing trade, if there's any squeezes going on, hopefully some of this information you can be able to apply it. I really do appreciate it.